Let's make it a good day.
Hello, Conan O'Brien here.
Today on The Jason Show, leaving late night. After nearly 30 years, Conan O'Brien is giving up his talk show, but not TV. Plus, sexiest man alive. Find out which young star earned People Magazine's honor in 2020. And protect your pet. Dr. Eric Ruhland is back to talk Thanksgiving and the holidays and how to make sure your dog isn't losing any social skills. Here we go.
Let's make it a good day. We do it our own way. Let's make it a good day. Oh, no matter what they say. Oh, yeah.
And good morning, everyone, and welcome to another split edition of The Jason Show. I'm Jace, coming to you from my house and coming to you from our Jason Show studios. Please welcome a dear friend, my sister from another mister, and I'm sure she looks beautiful today, the one and only Kendall. Good morning, Kendall.
Good morning, Jason. I love that I can see you, but you can't see me. It's kind of fun.
I know, and if people have missed the rest of the shows this week, one of the most popular sayings in 2020, we're just being cautious. Colin and I may have come into contact with someone, and so we're on an abundance of caution for just a couple days more. I'm quarantining. I think this is actually the end of it. So I'll be back in the studio, but again, I'm just really appreciative, and I have been of day one of both companies, the radio company and Fox. I just want to keep you safe. So, but the quarantine is over. I'll be back in the studio pretty soon. Don't know. And actually, as I said yesterday, on Friday, I'll be going to Louisiana to finally wrap up things for my mom back home. But how you doing? How was your night? Anything exciting? Did you go out on the front lawn and look at your decorations? Anything fun?
Oh, Jason, I did do something fun. I watched episode 1 of The Crown. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was so good. I had the heebie-jeebies.
It's so good, and if people, we're on season 4 now, as we said yesterday. If you haven't watched any of them, go back and watch. They usually do about 9 episodes, so it's easy to digest. It's so good. It's probably going to go down as one of my all-time favorite Netflix shows ever. We're on season 4 now, the Margaret Thatcher, Diana years. I'm actually getting toward the end of the season, and it's funny now that I'm seeing the season as a whole. Originally, I thought as a fan it was going to be really Diana focused. No, it really is 50-50 between the attention they spend on Diana and the attention they spend on the relationship between the Queen and Prime Minister Thatcher, which I have to admit, I think I'm more fascinated by that plotline than Diana. So get ready, Kendall.
I know. I'm excited to see how it goes. And I know you can't see them, but I can see them here, our virtual audience today. Fans at home, give it up for our friends Mario and Aaron, a.k.a. Panda. How y'all doing? Hey, girl. Okay, Panda, I have to ask you first, where are you calling in from, a.k.a. Aaron, on the screen? Hey. Hey, girl.
I'm in Burnsville.
Burnsville. I love it. And Mario, where are you about? Oh, you're muted. I just really don't like when that happens either. I'm sorry, Mario. We'll get to you in 2 seconds. We'll be checking in with our virtual audience. Mario, just unmute, hit the unmute button. Maybe. I don't know if that's easy from what screen you're on.
Panda, I got to say, Panda's in our audience, our virtual audience today. Panda's the only reason I'm still on Twitter, especially now that Twitter added stories. We don't need stories on Twitter. We have them on Instagram, and I don't even want them on Facebook, but I'll talk about that later. But hello to the virtual audience. As Kendall said, we'll be checking in with them throughout the show. And speaking of Kendall, I'm going to toss it back to her so she can start the hot dish.
Yes, and just like the Neanderthal I am going to scoop with my hands for this morning's hot dish. All right, hey, we teased this just a couple of minutes ago, but big news in late night. Conan O'Brien will end his late night show on TBS. It means his 28-year run as a late night host will come to an end, at least for now. Now, in 1993, after David Letterman moved to CBS, Conan took over late night. Then in 2009, you probably remember, he was elevated to The Tonight Show, and you probably also remember that that was a whole big ordeal. So he left for TBS in 2010. Instead, he says he will focus on his travel show, Conan Without Borders, which will air on HBO Max. Conan, the TBS show, will end next June. It's a really big deal in late night. Jason, you are a late night king. You just take it away for what you feel about this.
Yeah, I've said it on the show countless times. Conan's one of my favorites. He's always been one of my favorites. And I think he, night after night, delivers the best monologue in late night still. But let me bottom line this. This is a great move for Conan. All of these shows, whether it's Fallon or Carson or Letterman, all of these shows, the success of them lies at the feet of serving the host. And what I mean by that is the show should be built around the host's skill set. For instance, let me give you an example. Johnny, Carson was, when you think of Johnny, you think about Carson with regular people. The potato chip lady, you think of them with animals. Letterman, you think of bits. You think of, back in the late night days, him on a Velcro wall, the monkey skit that we showed you with our friend Madeline Smithberg. Conan's success really relies on what they call remote shoots. Conan out and about, whether it was Triumph the Insult Comic Dog or Conan doing a Civil War reenactment with Andy. So what I bring this up because leaving a daily show and going to a weekly series where I would imagine there would be a lot of remote pieces plays to his strengths. And I think also the late night ground has changed so much. It's not what it used to be in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. It's really changed. People absorb late night in chunks the next day on YouTube. Conan saw the writing on the wall. We saw the writing on the wall. His show went down to a half hour. And now, you know, in these COVID times, people are just consuming media differently. So moving to the same company, they own TBS, moving to Warner streaming service, it's a win for Conan because it plays to his strengths, and it's a win for HBO Max, which other than the Fresh Prince reunion has nothing. That and Friends.
That and Friends. Well, everybody's moving over to streaming, so what can you do? Now, next in the dish, ladies, if you have left the room or anyone interested in knowing this, come on back. We've got some huge news. We have a brand new sexiest man alive. Any guesses? The lucky guy visited Kimmel last night to talk about the big news. Take a look.
First thing they ask, they're on speakerphone. You know, who are you with? I'm like, with Bryce. He's like, okay, Bryce's family. He can know. I said, oh, okay, cool, because they keep this thing super like, under lock and key. And then they told me the news, and it was a moment like, oh, really? Like, is me? And I was like, yeah, you. And then they kind of had this little banter back and forth, but it was a cool moment.
I bet it was. Yeah, did Bryce immediately start making fun of you, or did he wait?
No, he at least waited till they hung up the phone, and then he immediately started, like, cracking jokes. I mean, that's the thing. When you get sexiest man, it's like, you know, that's cool to everybody else, but anybody that really knows you, that's just just another way they can give jabs to you.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, they were talking a lot of stuff.
That's when you wish you had no friends.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. It's like...
Michael B. Jordan, you see him right there. It's pretty obvious why he's people's sexiest man alive. Jason, he is definitely one of my celebrity crushes. If you've seen him, anyone at home who's like, he looks familiar, Black Panther, Creed, he's been in a ton of stuff, but those are the ones that you probably know him from. I'm not surprised. You surprised?
No, because as the saying goes, sometimes God gives with both hands because he is so talented, so smart, so everything. I mean, he has the looks, he has the talent. He is a powerhouse behind the scenes now. He's a powerhouse in front of the camera. It's a great pick for people. This is another thing that, you know, in our changing times, it used to be a bigger deal than it is now. Now it's just fun. We need a good distraction, so I'll take it. But I remember back in the day when this was announced, and I'm sure our executive producer, Jeff, is nodding his head, this used to be a really big deal. I mean, going back to one of the first, if not the first, 85. Do you want to take a guess, Kendall, of who was the sexiest man alive in 1985? Try to guess.
Sean Connery? Did I get that?
Okay, you know what? Not a bad guess. Sean Connery was in '89. The first three were Mel Gibson, Mark Harmon, and in 1987, Harry Hamlin.
Oh,
or
yeah.
as I refer to him, Mr. Lisa Rinna.
Yeah, he's good looking. I get that. Oh, well, I'm into this.
Yeah.
I'm into this.
Yeah.
All right, and you guys, you'll probably be into this if you're at home watching this. See if you can figure this out. Next in the dish. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm so scared. Did you get that? Oh, yes. Well, we're all getting pumped for the Saved by the Bell reboot on Peacock. Elizabeth Berkley, who played Jessie, which is where that line came from, was on Andy Cohen last night and talked about her castmates.
Who took the longest in hair and makeup?
Mario.
Okay. Well, what was he having done? God, did he look good in those
That
parachute
whole
pants?
mullet and-
Oh, yeah, the mullet.
And the perm. It was a whole deal.
Who got in the
let
most
you-
trouble with the producers?
Maybe Dustin.
Who would you say had the most successful career post Saved by the Bell? There's been a lot of. You guys have
Honestly,
all
to
done.
tell you the truth, yeah, no, for a show where we started so young, the core for like Tiffany, me, Mark, Paul, and Mario have consistently worked in amazing things.
That's
since
true.
We finished.
Who was
which is rare.
Who was the most like their character?
Dustin.
Who hooked up the most in their trailer during the original show?
I don't even want to know.
Well, she also said she hasn't really talked to Dustin Diamond since the original show ended. And like Andy said, I want to know. Jason, what do you think about all this?
Well, no one's talked to Dustin Diamond because he's on an adult film set right now. That's why no one's talked to him. Anyway, they made a really good point that I didn't think about in that clip, and that people can, dismiss the show. Oh, it was just, Saturday morning programming back in the day. But two things. First, Rare is a show that is talked about 30 years after it ends, so you got to give them that. And they're right. Think about that cast. To varying degrees, they've all had success. Mario has been hosting Entertainment Tonight-like shows since, we were in diapers. Mark Paul has been in, he's been on Fox in three or four different shows. They've all, Tiffany Amber Thiessen was at Melrose Place and 90210. So I never thought about it. I mean, you can't dismiss the success of that show.
All right, well, before we go to break, we've got about 30 seconds. I want to know, Panda, Mario, just raise of hands here. Have either of you watched Saved by the Bell? Yes,
Yeah.
and will you watch the reboot?
No.
And we got a solid no. We got a yes and we got a no. Thank you, too. We'll be checking back in with the both of you coming up in the next break. Still ahead, Jason is giving his thought on a new show that debuted last night. But next, the men were oiled up and ready to fight for Tayshia's heart on The Bachelorette. Ooh, but are they really there for the right reasons? Always wonder that. Producer Ted is back with his recap. And then, getting your pets ready for the holiday. Vet Dr. Eric Ruhland is back with his latest tips. The Jason Show will be right back.
What do you think his conversation is like with her?
I'm sure his conversation is what we see. It's just like, oh, he probably has his 5 adjectives. You're beautiful, you're energetic, you light up my life. Unfortunately, she doesn't see the Jason we see. Jason's a fraud, Jason's a phony. The guy's more or less an actor in my mind.
Well,
he just kind of repeats what he thinks he's supposed to say.
and it's just not believable. The longer Jason spins this web of deceit over to Tayshia, he's gonna be around.
Ed, I don't even know if I can take you serious sometimes anymore. You're holding a baby, you have chicken legs, you lost the competition.
Dude, chicken legs, that's fine, man.
Come on, man. You are interfering in something that I'm trying to grow right now, and I really don't appreciate it at all.
Well, take your medium shirt and sit down.
My medium shirt, it's actually large.
Dude, sit down, dude.
Ed, no,
I don't know what you're doing. Like, I got a baby in my hand,
No,
bro.
dude, Ed, I'm standing up for myself. And yes, there was a previous Bachelorette. I have pivoted. I am.
There is nothing wrong with chicken legs. The flexing heats up on The Bachelor as Ed and Chasen square off over who is there for the right reasons. Here's a hint. no one is there for the right reasons. We are going into full Tayshia mode on The Bachelorette, and it happened last night. And that means it's time once again for one of our favorite segments. Roll it, Leo. It's time for America Loves Ted. Joining us from Bachelor headquarters / the other end of the studio is producer Ted. Good morning, Ted.
Good morning, Jason.
Okay, Ted, can I just ask an obvious question? Why was Ed holding a baby?
So there was this thing called a grown man challenge. That was one of the group dates. Sounds like a lot of fun, doesn't it? Where they kind of figure out who's the grown man of the group. So they had a quiz. They pulled each other, this bungee thing. I'm not really sure. It's like a rope thing to see who doesn't have the chicken legs. And then they fed her in bed. Yeah. Anyways, Ed got last place, so he was the man child, so he had to hold that baby.
Okay. So what is up? I mean, I heard that clip. What is up with the Ed and Chasen feud? Is it real, or are they ramping it up just to give them a storyline?
Yeah, I think with Claire, there was no need to just kind of manufacture this drama. With Tayshia, she's a little bit more even-keeled, so we need some of the guys to bring the heat. Chasen's a bad boy. Ed probably doesn't stand a chance. So Ed sees this as a way to kind of stay in the show, the drama route, and that's his strategy. Is it going to pay off in the long term? Probably not.
Okay, Ted, we've had dates on the show on both The Bachelor and Bachelorette. There's been talent shows. There's been pool championships. There's been gymnastics. I heard that there was a wrestling date in this episode. Please tell me about this.
Yeah, it's a smorgasbord of oiled up men. That's what it ended up being. So you had you just threw up a little bit in your mouth, didn't you? So you had the naked dodgeball date, right? So we got to see them in their Speedos and naked with blue dots over them. And then we saw the pool date, and we thought we were done with this, but no, real. Here we go.
But Tayshia's looking for her perfect match today, so I'm going to do everything I can and see if I come out on top.
With a stellar takedown well. Down goes Ben.
Wrestle.
Oh my God. This has been such a great day today, and I am very impressed with these guys. They're all really trying to prove themselves. Careful! Be careful!
Chasen and Bella, it felt like the real deal. Like, it just felt like a death match.
So that went about as well as you would have thought it would have gone. They were just fighting for Tayshia's love.
I got to tell you, I don't love being away from you guys. I prefer to be in the studio. But I will tell you, I am very happy I'm here, and I wasn't able to see that clip. I'm glad that my eyes didn't have to see that clip. Are we getting an idea, Ted, of who she's liking?
So I don't think she likes the bad boys. I'll go out on a limb and say that. I think she likes a little bit more wholesome men. Look, she's sampling all the guys. You've got Ben, who she was making out with right here. He could be a front runner. People on Twitter liked his shirt. It was a little wrinkly and stuff. Then you've got, who's the next guy? Oh, Ivan. Ivan could be a sleeper. People like him. He's making out with her blindfolded right there. You've got Bennett. Bennett went to Harvard. He's not as smart as he likes to say, but I mean, he still has a shot. And then finally you've got Noah. Noah shaved off his mustache for her, and she seems to like it. So I would say those are my top 4. You got Ben, Ivan, Bennett, Noah.
Are you missing Claire?
Not one bit.
There we go. Okay. Simply put, I mean, that's a bow. That's a bow. We're done. We're done.
Moving on.
Producer Ted, everybody, don't forget you can watch The Bachelorette on ABC or ABC On Demand. Okay, let's go back to the studio with Kendall for more Hot Dish. What do we have, Kendall?
I don't know if it gets any hotter than all that oil and making out. Ugh, we'll try to clean it up for you. A new show premiered after The Bachelorette last night. It's a crime mystery from David E. Kelly and stars Ryan Phillippe, a.k.a. Jason's celebrity love, and Minnesota native Kylie Bunbury. Here is a look at Big Sky.
12 missing females within a 100-mile radius of where we're sitting.
We got ourselves a predicament.
The only way we're gonna find these girls is if we work together.
You want to take a shot? Do it.
Oh, come on.
Okay, Jason, I'm recording this, but you watched the first episode and have some very strong opinions.
Yes, I do. Now, before I say anything, normally, you know that I don't like to ruin shows for people. That's not what we do here. But this is in a lot of places on the internet. It's being talked about on radio. So, Leo, roll the spoiler alert animation. Okay, and I mean it. So, Kendall, I'm going to ruin it for you. I'm just going to be very blunt. I have to ruin it because this is one of the most buzzed about entertainment stories. I don't think I'll ever watch ABC again. Not since Drew Barrymore was killed off in the first scene of Scream have I been this bamboozled, have I been this gobsmacked by a show. So Ryan Phillippe is all over the promotional materials for the show. He's on the poster. He's in the commercials. He did press. He was on Kimmel. At the end, okay, I'm gonna give everyone one more time because don't email me. I've warned you. Okay, if you don't want to know, I'm getting ready to say it. Okay, at the very end of the episode, he plays a cop. Well, kind of a disgraced cop. He's a private eye searching for these 2 missing women, young women in Montana. He is driving with a cop who's on the hunt for these women. And at the end of the episode, the other guy pulls out a gun and shoots Ryan in the head.
Stop.
He's dead!
Oops.
That is like, let me tell you, that is like Fox 9 running promos for this goofy show. Hey, watch the Jason show, like, 5 years ago. Hey, we got this show with Jason Matheson. And, oh, look, it's Jason on a horse. And then the pilot comes on, and Jeff kills me at the end of the first episode, and some guy named Toby takes over.
Jeff clapped at that. Just so you know. Sorry, Jason.
Of course he did.
I'm sorry, Jason. And I'm sorry, America, that Big Sky wasn't all that we all wanted it to be.
Well, no. Let me say this. It's not a bad show, though. Look, let's be honest. All of these types of shows that are in these towns, they're all trying to be Twin Peaks. They have like the weird waitress and, the weird townspeople. They're either, all of these shows they're either doing Twin Peaks or Northern Exposure. It's a decent show, but without Ryan Phillippe, I'm never watching it again. And I don't know if I'm ever going to watch ABC again. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, I'm switching back to Fox.
And with that, everybody, we're going to move right on to commercials. I met up with Heather Fox for more interior design tips. And this time, it's all about decorating your Thanksgiving table. But next, are your pets getting lonely during the pandemic? Probably. And how can you get your pets ready for the holidays? Vet Eric Ruhland is back answering all your pet questions when we come back. Oh, that's so disappointing. Welcome back to the Jason Show on this Wednesday. stay. Jason will be right back as he joins us from home. Now, socializing is much different these days during the pandemic, with most of us staying connected through FaceTimes, Zooms, snail mail, everything. But what about your pets? Joining us live to talk about pet socialization and much more is Dr. Eric Ruhland from the St. Paul Pet Hospital. Hey, Dr. Eric.
Morning, Kendall. How's it going?
It's going really well. I think so many people have been wondering this. We know a lot of dogs, cats have been adopted, fostered during this time when we've all been so lonely, but they're not getting socialized. Why and how is socialization so important for dogs?
Really, in the beginning phases when they're learning, when their brain is essentially learning what should we be fearful from and what should I not be fearful from. They're learning that at a young age, and they're kind of taking all this information in. And especially when we have these rescue dogs that come into new houses, they've kind of gone through a lot. They sort of start to compartmentalize what is dangerous and what is not dangerous. And then they start to get feedback from their owners. And we may inadvertently be giving them feedback that maybe isn't useful at times. And I'll get back into this later, but this socialization aspect really teaches dogs how to behave and interact with each other. And they won't learn that just in a vacuum. They need repetition to do this. And so that's why the socialization and getting dogs to learn that, hey, I don't just run up to my buddy and bite them by the ear. I can run up to my buddy and smell them, and then we can run around and chase each other, and that's what we do. And they don't know that unless they go through repetition. They don't intrinsically just know it.
Right, exactly. And because I know that when we got our puppies, we went to classes so they could meet other dogs. Right now, though, they can't do that. They don't have other dogs to play with. Can they feel lonely like we can if we don't have humans to interact with?
It's not necessarily a feeling of loneliness. I think when we apomorphize that emotion and put it on our dog, it's not quite the same, but there is a void of mental development that manifests differently. So I saw 2 dogs yesterday that came in that had been rescued earlier, right in the middle of the pandemic. And these dogs have been have been essentially in the same conditions in the same house every day. And they just don't, really sweet dogs, but they've never seen another dog. One dog walked up to another one, was just kind of like, they didn't know how to interact. And they just lack, it's not that they feel loneliness, there's just a lack of ability to process all of this. You know, when you think about it, Kendall, when you think about 2 people coming together, there's a heightened state of anxiety. I don't know how you're going to interact. I don't know how, you know, anytime that happens, and whether it's palpable and whether we feel it or not is different. But these dogs start to manifest it because they don't know how to interact. They don't necessarily feel loneliness because they're so bonded to their owner, but they're just lacking that ability. Well,
what can we do to help them out with this, especially with so many things being closed right now?
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest challenge. I mean, our hospitals right now, it's why I'm wearing my jacket right now. Our doctors and our staff are in and out doing curbside pickup. It's like a lot of the hospitals throughout Minnesota, and depending on what Governor Walz is going to say tonight about what our restrictions are, that could go on longer. But how do we do this? So the best socialization that we can do for young puppies and young dogs is in a space that's enclosed, where we know that we're not going to have a runaway situation, but a situation where 2 dogs can greet and meet each other, but they feel like they can get away from each other, but they're not going to run away. And by that, I also mean, you should never really socialize dogs with 2 leashes tied to each dog, because when you have a leash on a dog, the leash reminds the dog that I can't run away. I'm tethered here. I can't move away from this situation. So when I've got an 800-pound gorilla running at me, let's say I'm a little Chihuahua or I'm a little small puppy, and I've got, I'm 10 pounds and there's an 80-pound Labrador Retriever running at my face. Literally, that's like to me, that's like an 800-pound gorilla. And if I'm tethered to this leash, I can't get away from it. So that's really nerve-wracking. And I'm going to become extremely, not only nervous of the situation, but nervous of this leash. And that will perpetuate that. So socialization, if you can, like in someone's backyard that we know, you can stay distance from people and still socialize dogs in the backyard in an area that they can run around and they don't feel like they're going to be, that they're limited in where they can go. And in that space, so that we can make that observation and we can watch. And one thing to do with these puppies too is not to coddle them. You shouldn't pick up a puppy every time they run underneath your feet and they're trying to figure things out. That just teaches the dog to be more nervous. You're giving them positive reinforcement for being nervous. I see a lot of conditions where the dog runs underneath people's feet, or the dog runs back to the owner, and we start to immediately give feedback, positive feedback, by touching them and telling them it's okay. That's different than giving them reinforcement or just calming them. That's different than giving them positive reinforcement for being nervous, if that makes any sense. But we want to be in an outside space so they have plenty of area that they can move around, but they're still contained, but they're not on a leash, and we can observe them and be close.
Yeah, the not on the leash thing, very important. I know I have a leash aggressive dog, and it is very different when she's off or on the leash. So that is important. Yeah. I have seen some.
How's your scheduling episodes going? Have you done any more of those?
Okay, do we have to bring up the scheduling episode? That was, by the way, something we never talk about again, Dr. Eric.
Okay,
Thank you.
Sorry, we won't bring it up.
Well, if you want to see that, you can watch it on Fox 9. Anyway, Dr.
Oh,
Eric.
I've seen it.
Oh, thank you. Anyone at home wants to see it, just don't. Hey, we'll be right back with Dr. Eric. We've got much more talking Thanksgiving and the holidays coming up next. Stay with us.
Let's make it a good day. We do it our own way. Let's make it a good day. Oh, no matter what they say.
Welcome back to the Jason Show. We are going to be chatting with Jason again a bit from home this morning. Don't worry, he'll be back. But right now, we're talking about pets. Joining us again is Dr. Eric Ruhland from the St. Paul Pet Hospital. Dr. Eric, in my defense, the dog I brought scheduling is the really friendly, crazy one. The leash aggressive one didn't even come. So I thought I would end up on 2 feet and not on my bum. It's not my fault.
I should never brought it up.
Yeah, whatever. All right, well, Thanksgiving is next week, and many families are going to have some extra food lying around the house. Are there any of those Thanksgiving staples that dogs should definitely avoid?
Things that are high in fat, Kendall, are probably the biggest issues that we see. Desserts, chocolate, chocolates in particular, chocolate, obviously, a lot of people already know that. But the bigger issues that we run into are like the drippings from like the turkey, like all that fat and grease really causes can really flare up pancreatitis. And pancreatitis is a serious and life-threatening condition. So just remember things that are high in fat, no good. Chocolates, desserts, and the sugars are the worst. Things that are low in fat, like veggies and that kind of thing, that stuff's fine. Garlic, you should never really give dogs, don't eat raw garlic very often, but raw garlic and raw onions, if they're not cooked, can cause problems. But those are kind of the basics. That's the foundational, at least the foundation I tell people all the time when we're going places.
Okay, well, I'm just saying my dogs, I've tried to feed them I've tried to feed them cats. I've tried to feed them carrots. They never liked it. How about cats? Speaking of how my dogs apparently have tried to eat cats.
Cats kind of follow the same rules too. Okay. Nothing really high in fat. Cats typically aren't, although they're perusing around in the kitchen, they're typically not that, I'm not going to just go ahead and admit that cats are smarter, but they're usually a little more selective about what they're going to be intaking. Normally with cats, in the holiday season, there's things like foreign materials, like tinsels and those kinds of things we worry about. But in general, for the cats, kind of the same principles apply. Not a lot of high fat, items that they shouldn't be eating. And again, they're usually a little more fastidious and a little smarter about that stuff.
You heard it here, the cats are a little smarter than the dogs. Now, a common problem for dog owners is begging at the dinner table. My sister just got a dog, and he is big. He's a big terrier, and he loves to get up there on that counter. It's difficult. What are some tips to help stop that?
So in our household, there's a command that I teach my puppies when they're, butter at 8 weeks of age, out of the kitchen. That's the one command. It's for safety and for this begging thing. When I'm carrying a pot of hot water around, I don't want a puppy or a dog running around with my legs. And I cook a lot. I'm the primary cooker in the household, but I'm cooking all the time. But it's for safety mainly. But we need to be able to give them a command, and not in a fearful way. Just give them a command out of the kitchen. And so I usually have some treat, like when they're a puppy. When I've got my puppies, I'll train them out of the kitchen. That's one command. They're out and they're right on the edge of the threshold of where the kitchen is. And anybody can do this in their kitchen space, and the dog knows right where to go, and then they get a treat, and then they wait there and they have to stay. So teaching a dog, one, just to not be in the kitchen when that's happening, it's dangerous and it's not a healthy situation. But when you're eating too, dogs just shouldn't be in a space when you're eating. That's a general rule, and that will just get away from any of that temptation. The dog just should not be in the dining room or in the kitchen when they're eating with you. There needs to be some structure there. That's just the easiest way to avoid it.
Okay, I know my sister's trying the shaker thing where you've got the plastic bottle with the quarters in it. Is that
Yeah.
something that has worked? If they're really bad and really doing this and you haven't gotten them as a puppy?
What we want to do is we want to set up a situation where you're rewarding them for the good behavior and giving them reward for distance. Because what we're doing when he's coming up and he's jumping on the counter, he's getting rewarded for that not only by getting food but by not being reprimanded. So we just need to have it consistent, and they need to have a place that they need to go to rather than rewarding them or giving them any other kind of distractions. We just need to simplify it when there's no food around, when there's no other stimulus or anything else happening. Let's say I'm not cooking in the kitchen or I don't have any food out. I should be able to give the dog a command and say, go to that spot or go to this area, or maybe it's out of the kitchen or whatever it is. Go to that spot, immediate reward within 2 seconds. And we do that every single time. So rather than trying to punish them or trying to counter condition them, pardon the pun, get them to a spot where we can reward them and be as excited about rewarding them for that than the opposite. A lot of people punish a dog or like they get upset because they're doing something. Well, rather than doing that, be excited about teaching them something different that will just sort of break that cycle. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Treats are the magic word around our house. Well, Dr. Eric Ruhland, thank you so much for joining us. And hey, have a really great Thanksgiving.
Thanks, you guys. And I want to really thank all of our healthcare providers that are dealing with all of the COVID stuff right now, all of our teams. I want them just to pop in and say hi for 1 second. So they're right in the middle doing some things. Come on in. This is just a part of our staff coming in this morning. We've had all of our teams that had to split up and we're isolated from each other. So I have not actually seen any of my other team members other than these guys. And we're broken into teams, and I just want to say these guys mean the world to me and to us and to the rest of the veterinary community in Minnesota. They're working so hard, and there are people and teams like this all over the state that are just giving everything they got, and it means the world to us.
Absolutely. Well, hi guys. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. And yes, all of us, The Jason Show, thank you for all you do for all of our pets. We love you guys. Thank you. Hey, for more information, head to stpaulpet.com. That was a fun surprise. Still ahead, I'm up with Heather Fox, and we're talking interior design for the holidays. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for being here for our split edition of The Jason Show. Well, all month long, we have been getting help styling our homes from our good friend from HGTV, home expert Heather Fox. Well, today it's all about decorating your home for the season. And Kendall headed to Heather and Brad's store, Foxwell, for a little advice. Take a look.
We're talking about fall trends that I think also are kind of holding over probably into winter too.
I completely agree with you. Yeah, I love fall. I could do fall all year round.
Yeah.
Because what fall means, beautiful dried florals, golds. But another huge trend for fall is wood.
Ooh.
So you see these really cool candlesticks, the reclaimed wood. Obviously, they're all meant to be used, but they're also just really beautiful. So when you're setting the table for Thanksgiving or any holiday, which obviously who knows what that looks like this year, but I mean, it's nice to have these beautiful things.
Right, and I feel like the 70s wood is all that kind of stuff that like I kept and my mom kept, but now you have permission to use it again.
You really do. Like, I don't want anything for my personal home that's too formal. So I kind of like layering things. I love actually when you have like a stack of bowls sitting on your table, a stack of little plates sitting on your table. I think that it just kind of makes it feel casual and it welcomes people in.
Love it. All the woods, all the warmth, now texture.
Texture, okay. Now it's all about the texture. Yes, texture is huge this year. This is not just for fall. This will go into winter. I think this will continue on. Texture is always big, but definitely this year.
Yeah.
We've got fur.
Stop it.
That
is so fun.
I mean, come on. We've got lots and lots and lots of tassels. Tassels are also
tassels
huge.
really big right now?
They are.
Okay,
yeah.
Tassels are a thing.
Velvet, so you've got the soft textures, and then this big chunky. This has also been something that's been super popular.
Yes, I have a pillow like that at home.
Yeah, the chunky wool.
Is there like a limit? A limit to like pillows and tassels and chunky things?
I mean, my husband would say I don't have a limit on pillows. I typically try to do I like odd numbers of pillows. So you can have 3 on one side, 2 on the other. I would say for me 5 is a max on a couch, but 3 is probably ideal.
Oh, conveniently.
To my left is where we're going next. So we've got our wood, we've got our texture, and finally the metal shop. The class I never took.
Metals, yes. And I would say as far as metals go, brass is still the winner this year.
Brass is still queen?
100%. Yep. So vintage items are always great, but here's the cool thing. We have a bunch of items that look vintage that are not vintage.
Right.
So this is so cool because this could be a planter. This could just be a piece to set on top of a book. It could be a pencil cup. It could be a million different things.
Right. I love that. And then like all these smelly candles and these colorful vases. I see a lot of that too, like the big.
Completely. Yep, yep. And having something like this is like a 2-for-1 because this is a candle.
Right.
But it's also like a beautiful brass vessel. So you get both things.
Said a lot of this, like you can get it new and you can also get a lot of vintage stuff if you want to take the time to go to those places.
Yes, like vintage shops, if you're like heading to Ark Value Village and just kind of doing the treasure hunting there, you can find so many great things.
I love that. When you layer all this together, obviously pillows and texture are their own thing, but does the wood work well with the brass? Or
100%.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, you can see we kind of have layered a few of the things together up here. On the table over here, we've got a lot of brass and wood. They're good friends.
They're good friends. And they'll fall over from fall into winter.
Yes, absolutely. Brass will last you year round. Wood will last you year round. I think texture really does too.
Yeah.
All of them. So really, I feel like we're coming up with ideas that are like happy for fall and winter, but they're year-round ideas.
Okay, people, get your brass, get your fluffy things, and get your wood.
Thanks to Heather. I got to tell you, I said holidays. I meant the season, just the fall season. Kendall joins me again. It really does prove, just like entertainment, everything is cyclical, especially in fashion and home decor, because I remember brass was really big in the 80s. It was wicker furniture and brass, and now it's back.
It's back, girl. Wicker furniture, brass, and like fluffy, pretty things. All the 80s, all the 70s, they're all coming back. For more information on Heather's Foxwell shop and studio, you can just check out foxwell.com. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everyone. Reading some comments on social media. People are with me, and I warned everyone about the spoiler alert about Big Sky over there on ABC, the big twist at the end. People, even though they're not as big of Ryan Phillippe fans as I am, people are equally as upset about the twist. I'm going to be curious to see what the ratings are in week 2 and week 3. Hey, speaking of social media, keep up with us on social media. Just go to Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. All you have to do is search for Jason Show TV and be sure to follow us there. We're a small team. We try to answer messages as quickly as we can. We're going to take a break. Kendall will be back for the bubblegum goodbye right after this. Back in a moment. Welcome back, everybody, to our special split edition of The Jason Show. I'm here in my home studio. Kendall's back at our studios, where she's going to say goodbye to our lovely virtual audience.
Yes.
Hi, Kendall.
Hi, Jason, our lovely virtual audience. There you are, Mario and Panda. Hey, guys, I know we didn't get to chat with you a lot today because it's hard when we're already doing Jason and I different, but Mario, will you please come back and visit us?
I will, yeah.
Absolutely. And Panda, girl, I know you're going to come back. You coming back?
I guess.
I guess. Well, thank you guys so much. If you want to be in our virtual audience, head to the Jason Show Facebook page. Jason, are you ready? Because it's time for our gumdrop goodbye. Okay. Jace.
Gumdrop. It's bubblegum. Get the name right, Kendall. Get
Whatever.
the name right. It's bubblegum goodbye.
Speaking of names, what was your childhood nickname?
Tubby.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say something like that. For real, like, what did your mom call
you? Sweetie. I mean, Jay. She called me, my Aunt Debbie used to squeeze my fat little cheeks and call me Jaybird. And if you want me to instantly hate you, call me Jaybird. I don't like that.
Oh, okay. Mine was chickadee, chickadee, and Ken and bundle. My parents' Kendall bundle. It's a long story. Anyway, we won't get into that. Tomorrow on The Jason Show, looking good and staying warm. Sarah Rogers from the Mall of America shows us the best jackets for winter, plus Pie Week continues when I visit Quiet Cat Bakery in North Minneapolis. Join us tomorrow and maybe hear all about Kendall Bundle. Jason, stop.